So I just finished doing some work in York, South Carolina. It got me to thinking about my town, which is Monroe, North Carolina. Like before moving down here from Chicago with my wife, we made the move in 2019, right before the pandemic and lockdowns and all that crazy shit. So it was prime time. Like it was back when it was like the last year when you could come down here and find a house and about like 15 acres for 50 grand. It was like ridiculous. It was the time, but since then there's been like this big migration ever since the lockdowns. State policies have pushed people out, so it's kind of real estate boomed, and there's been quite the inflation in property values since then. Yeah, but it got me to thinking. I do a lot of work, and I have done work here in a very crucial time for North Carolina. York, South Carolina has an interesting history, and if you look it up, read it, you'll find that it was the central hub for the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, for a long time. And if you do further reading, which I did before we moved down here, you'll find out that Monroe, North Carolina was the sister county or town for it, being a hub, central place for the Ku Klux Klan. And this place has had quite the history when it comes to civil rights. We moved down here because I wanted to be centrally located in an area close to urban and, I guess you could say, rural areas, so that I could grow my business and my family. Living in 2020, figure what the hell. And for the most part, this place is very nice. I love North Carolina and the Carolinas in general. I highly recommend. It's not like the clouded perceptions and opinions I had growing up in Chicago, hearing about North Carolina and all the banjos and shit. That's not the case. But there are specific cells and areas around here covens where you feel a little bit weird. And one contrast I wanted to point out is that during that real estate boom in 2020, there was a lot of open land, and that land quickly started to develop into subdivisions and houses. There were so many just sprouting up everywhere. So, and I've done thousands of houses over the last 5 years. I do a lot of the repair for new deliveries. So if you've got new furniture and you just moved in and the delivery guys mess it up, I'm the guy who fixes it. I came at a prime time. The grace of God, business was good. So I got to see everybody and meet everybody that was coming into this town. I was new, and I was meeting all these new people. So we got a lot of families coming to work in IT in the Charlotte area from India, as well as China. Quite a bit of people from China and India came to move over here. And we got a lot of Russian speakers when that whole Russia-Ukraine conflict started. There's a lot of Russian refugees and Ukrainian here. So meeting these people, and it's just cool. I love cultures. I love talking to people and learning about where they came from, why they're here, because I'm on an adventure myself. But the contrast, what I noticed is that segregation is still subtle and alive and well in the Carolinas, because these new subdivisions are divided up by ethnicity. So I've frequented some of these new developments a lot. So I've been in the houses that are near the entrance and then towards the end. Really as far back as you can go into the subdivision. And something struck me. I noticed that most of the people who came over here from India were all isolated in one specific neighborhood. Like, you can go all the way to the back of this brand new subdivision, and for 2 blocks, like the last 2 blocks, were just Indian families from India. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, what a coincidence. And then I started seeing the same thing, but this time for more of the African, because a lot of people from like Nigeria, and where was that other one? Was it Sierra Leone? Like French. Yeah, I think they were speaking a little bit French. Yeah, so Sierra Leone came in, and then they were it was just like foreign nationals, and then the Asian or Chinese, let's just say, I'm not going to say Chinese, I don't know, just Asian. Most of them were Chinese, but they were isolated in a specific area of those subdivisions too. And then the Caucasians were right there. And it didn't really like occur to me like at first I was just like, oh, what a coincidence, at least maybe they all just decided to move over here together, like maybe they just like kind of did this for a community, kind of just to break themselves in softly to a new country and a new way of doing things. But it's everywhere. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I don't think anybody does. That shit still goes on, and if it's done accidentally, that's a hell of an accident, and it's fucked up. I'm just saying, because I don't know, if I moved to a new country, I would feel kind of, I guess, if you're trying to be nice and make me fit in with the people that are close to me and culturally similar, so that I can transition, like that's sweet of you, but you're actually doing a lot more harm than anything. Because I speak from somebody who's gone to another country and lived there and not spoken the language and having to get around and learning the language. I speak from that perspective, where it's just like, it's nice to be able to relate to some people, but at the same time actually being dropped into that bucket where you have to figure it out. That's part of the adventure, that's part of the allure, that's part of the whole process of becoming American. And maybe some of these people don't want to become American. Maybe they're just coming here for work, just to work for like 5-10 years and then just going home. I know a lot of Americans do the same shit. They'll go study abroad, or they'll go work abroad for a while, then they come home. Yeah, for sure. But most of these people I spoke with, they're just doing a new start, new life, and I feel like that really does hurt them, as far as some of them who can't speak English as well are going to be surrounded by, other than work, most of them work from home. They're going to be surrounded by people who aren't able to help them, like practice the fucking language, learn the customs, the intricacies. Like, I felt like an ambassador every time I walked into some of these people's houses, because it was just, and that's a sad thing. That's a sad thing. A lot when you work, typically in the times before, I guess, you would get a job, and the working from home thing wasn't an issue. Like, it wasn't a thing. So you'd move to a new place, you'd get a job, and you'd have to mingle. You would have to mingle, and you would have to learn, grow. So I guess these communities wouldn't have been a big issue at that point. But most people are homebodies, and not out of their own volition. Like, it's just they work from home, so they're going to be permanently isolated from the culture which they're trying to, I guess, assimilate into. It's kind of, it doesn't make sense. So if they're trying to do it to be nice, like, it's not going to work. And other than that, go fuck yourself. That shit needs to stop, because that's ignorant as fuck. Like, I'd be pissed. Like, I don't know if these people notice, because nobody's really friendly anymore when you move to a new place. You're kind of quiet, stick to yourself. So I wonder if all these people go outside, other than Halloween, because I take my kids trick-or-treating too. And I've taken my kids trick-or-treating in these neighborhoods just to see, make sure. Like, okay, let's go to this block really quick. And my wife drives this block, kids go up and down the street. Yep, okay, now we'll go to this block. Go to this block. And it's funny. It's just like, it's funny that I wish I was wrong. I wish I was just like mistaken, and I was just so caught up in work that I just misread the situation. But that wasn't the case at all. There's smiles and segregation. It's kind of weird. Oh, and let me tell you something too. Another thing, which was weird. So me and my wife, our most recent child was an accidental home birth. Like, I was working, she couldn't get anywhere, I could get home, and by the time I got home, the baby was there. So I had to go get the birth certificate and do all this shit, right? So I go to fill out the birth certificate. I got to take my baby and my wife to this place and give them all the information, everything that they need. And now I'm looking at the paperwork to do his birth certificate. And they look at me, they look at my son, they look at my wife, and they put Caucasian for my wife, Caucasian for my son, who's mixed, and white for me. And I'm like, yo, like what? Like white? Like no, that's not right. It's just not right. So can you just fix that? Because I'm not white. It's just all. It's not true. I'm not going to sign something like that has false information on it. And they looked at me with the longest stare, like that disgust look. Like, and I'm like, that's not correct. That's just not me. I don't know who the fuck you think this is, but like, dude. And they say, well, most people are just putting white now on this paperwork. And I'm like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, most Hispanics, Latinos, they're just jotting down white. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, I don't give a shit what other people are doing. I just want to get my kid a birth certificate, his social, and that's it. And I'm not going to sign something that's a fucking lie. So I'm okay with everything else, but this paperwork, you're lying. So you need to change that shit because I'm not white. And what struck me about that was they offered, like, they didn't want to change it. Another thing is they said that most Hispanics were jotting down white nowadays. This was 3 months ago. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? And now everything that's happening nowadays, like, with this whole ICE shit, it's just weird. It's just weird. It really pissed me off. I was like, how are you gonna lie? You pretend like you're the government, right? You're the fucking, like, the state government, and you're gonna fucking lie on paperwork and have me try to get me to, like, coerce me into consenting to it. But, like, where's the integrity in that? Like, seriously, like, I'm not even gonna say, what if I did that shit? Because I wouldn't do that shit. I don't know. That's just fucking silly. So this state kind of confuses me sometimes. It's got beautiful scenery. And I made some pretty good friends out here. But, man, there's those small covens and little cells of bullshit around. And I've been able to thrive here with my family overall. Don't want to scare you all away. You can thrive here as long as you're a little gritty. And it's a beautiful place to wake up to in the mornings and drive home at night. But they say freedom isn't free. That's why we chase liberty. But thanks for listening to my ramble.